Alright, so I'm making a double batch of the electrolyte solution, the copper sulfate solution for electroplating copper. 2 quarts in this pot, and it's heating up, not to a boil, but getting hot enough to dissolve the crystals. And then I have the other half in the other 2 quarts in my electric kettle over there. Again, not to boil. I already have a half gallon of this. I already have 2 quarts of it, so I'm making another 2 quarts for myself, and then another 2 quarts for a friend of mine who wants to get into this. So let's measure everything out. Alright, so per 2 quarts, it's going to be 16 ounces or a pound of this stuff, the root kill. This is your copper sulfate pentahydrate right there. And you're going to do 16 ounces per 2 quarts. So because I'm doing a full gallon, I'm going to measure out 16 and 16, so it's going to be 32. Alright? So we've got, it's in pounds, ounces. Throw that on there. Hurry up. There. Tear it. B0. There you go. So we're going to do 16 and then 16 for each container. Should be a pound. There we go. And I'm going to pour it into this. And then same thing. It should be the whole bottle, or about. We should just have to do half and half. Yep, look at that. The whole bottle. And that is going to go into the water one. And then this one is the water that's going to be in the electric kettle. It's already hot. There we go. We can zoom out. And I have solution in both, and then I'm going to stir it up. And I'm wearing goggles just in case there's splashes. I also have gloves. So yeah, we're going to stir it up now. You want no crystals remaining. Alright, and once you got it all stirred up and there's no more crystals in there, you let it cool down for a little bit. And yeah, take it off the heat, let it cool, and then we will prepare the sulfuric acid. Alright, this is a sulfuric acid. It is battery acid. I got it at AutoZone. An auto parts store should have it. They sell it as like if you want to make your own car battery, or if you have a car battery that has a leak, you can buy sulfuric acid and change out the acid if you want. But I don't need that much. It's 1 milliliter per ounce of crystal of copper sulfate. So I only need 16 milliliters. I can't talk right now. 16 milliliters of the solution. So we have a syringe and needle. I got this at Walmart for like $3. It's like an injection flavor injector syringe. So yeah, we're gonna grab 16 milliliters of sulfuric acid for each solution. Alright, it's been added, and as you can see, it's still really hot, so I'm going to give it a quick stir just to make sure it's mixed around, and then we're going to let it cool to about room temperature. This is just like silicone whisk I got. I think I also got that at Walmart. Maybe throw it away once you're done. Okay, so we're back, and those are now cooled off. So I got this recipe from Nick Martinelli. I'll post him in the description. But this is his recipe, and then he says that Miralax, this is off-brand, can work as a brightener. So about half a teaspoon each into each. Yeah, half a teaspoon each. Alright, and now we just transfer them into containers. This is one of those Carlo Rossi bottles, the wine bottles. It holds a gallon. So that's why I made an extra gallon. This is batch muffin. Boom! You've made, look at that, a gallon. Well, a gallon and a half for me, but if you do this twice, you make the 2 batches with the 2 quarts, you get a full gallon of electrolyte solution, and it lasts forever. So next we will move on to the plating setup. Now we move on to the painting of the conductive paint. As you can see right there, I have a couple of prints. These are for the Ion fan if you've been paying attention to the channel. If you haven't, these are just prints that I made that are hollow. So I'll take these off. My printers are dirty because I use them all the time, and I'm not some person who really cares that much. As long as they work, right? All right. See? Look at that. Whoop. There we go. Plastic spatula, because then it doesn't... I used to use a metal one. That's why there's all kinds of scratches. It's not hard. No. You have goggles for when you make a solution. This is alcohol processing. Alright, and then we're just going to let that kind of wash them off a little bit. I mean, you guys know the deal. I use my resin printer because the lines are smoother. There's no layer lines like you would have in an FDM. Like for instance, this, you can see all the lines and see how there's like little divots there. You'd have to get some sort of sealer or sealant and kind of give it like a clear coat or a sealant coat first and then paint on top, whereas this, you can just kind of sand it down a little bit. And I sand them to, one, get the little burrs off from the support, but then also just to help increase the surface area so that the paint actually sticks. Dry. And cover it. Right. Now cure them. Okay, for painting, you need a backdrop so you don't get your table dirty. Or if you don't care, who cares? This is 180 grit sandpaper. You don't absolutely have to do this, but it does help. It increases the surface area of your part. Woo. Your parts, and this right here. $6 at Home Depot, maybe $6 and some change, maybe plus tax, 7 or 8, depending on where you live. Blaster Industrial Graphite Dry Lubricant. You just shake it up, and we're going to apply 3 coats to it. But first, we're going to sand our part. You can also use this. I made this. This is ink, India ink, mixed with some graphite powder. You can find the graphite powder next to the keys at like Lowe's or whatever. This is the ink. I got this at, I think like a Joann Fabrics or something. I prefer the spray. It's an more even coat. But if you're doing like leaves and other organic things, sometimes the ink is better. I don't like it, so I'm not going to use it. Sanding, take your time. Alright, now grab some paper towel and I spray all the alcohol. I don't really care if it's super smooth. This is a prototype for the Ion fan, so I just need this front edge to be smooth and round, and then these edges to be pointy. So as much as that is accomplished is fine by me. But you may need to get some different sanding options if you're doing pieces like figurines and things like that. It can be beneficial to really get into all those grooves. Or you can just do like an extra coat or 2 of the paint and all will be fine. Okay, so now that those are dried off and cleaned off of all the dust, backdrop. And then I have one of these little sticks for like different things that I can grab with it. But it'll work for this one, but it won't work. It'll be fine. Okay, so we're gonna do about 3 coats. We're gonna do a coat, let it dry, do another coat, then let it dry again, then kind of just do like a little touch up, just in case there's any missing spots. And then I'll show you what to do from there. Alright, set that off to the side. Then, oh, I only have one little stick, whatever. This one will be fine. I don't really care that if the back stays white on this one. Just need to make sure for this purpose that it's covered in a way that is acceptable for it to really just this round top area needs to be conductive, and then the pointy things need to be conductive, and then I need a place to connect them. So for your purposes, try to get into all the nooks and crannies, all of them. But for like, understand your purpose. If you only need half of it to be conductive, then you don't necessarily need to worry about it. If you kind of like the sprayed on look and you just want the sprayed on area to kind of give you that like conductive pattern as the spray does, then go for that. But if you need it to absolutely 100% be shiny, just make sure you make yourself one of these. This is a like wooden skewer from Walmart, and it comes in a pack of like 1,000 for 95 cents. And then I attached an old alligator clip to it with electrical tape. So just get you something like this. It really, really comes in handy, especially for like really small stuff. My dog is trying to eat a bone, and he just got neutered. So Oop. Teddy, say hi. Alright, so it dries really quickly. You'll notice I went ahead and did spray down the back side. So we're going to let that dry for a little bit longer. But it only takes about a minute or two, and it's completely dry. And that's the first coat. And we're going to do this 2 more times. And then you'll see why. It'll make sense. I think it's just in case something got rubbed off all the time. You can't send it to a while. A long while. But like I said, $7. Alright, let that dry. Alright, the pieces are almost dry. But our next step is gonna sound a little weird. Maybe. I don't know, maybe it won't. Maybe you guys are smarter than me. But we are going to test resistance, and I'm going to show you the importance of polishing your part afterwards. And when I say polish, I just mean I'm going to use this old t-shirt to just kind of rub around on it. So if I look and see, put the multimeter in screen here, I've got resistance, right? Boom, look at that. I've got it set to 200K ohms, 200,000 ohms. So if I put, let's say, 2 arbitrary points, and I do that, look, I get some resistance, right? But then, let's polish it. See how it made it kind of shinier? You can sort of see. Let's see if I zoom in. Somewhat shinier. Yeah, there, now the light hits it. Anyway, and we test. See, the number's lower. Look at that. We're at 20 instead of 50 something. 18, 17. It decreases the amount of resistance, which means it makes it more conductive. And if you don't polish it, it plates very, very, very slowly. So I guess if you're just going to stick it in a bath for a really long time, go for it. Leave it the way it is. But polishing really, really, really helps. At least for me. I like doing it a lot. It makes it more fun. So we just take it and we just give it a rub. Now my pieces are hollow, so I have to be extra careful. Whoa, let me just throw it. He said extra careful as he throws the part. Give it a polish on the inside, on the edges. Now these little things are going to be a little different. We're just going to kind of, I don't want to break them. The pins themselves aren't hollow, but they're only like 1/8 of an inch at their base. So I don't want to mess anything up. Alright. See, doesn't it look shinier? Look at that. And same thing for this one. The inside is a little damp, but that's fine. Like I said, I just need really this part to be conductive. It's just gonna, it might help to have the whole thing conductive. And again, it's hollow. I think I didn't put a drill hole, so there's fluid in there, which makes it just about the same weight. Polish. Look at that, shiny. And what you're doing is you're just getting off that little thin layer of actual paint that's on there. You're not scrubbing down the sandpaper, you're not running it all the way down to white. You don't need that. You don't want to do white, or we're going to color resistance. Look at that. Look at how shiny that is. So shiny. Oh, yeah. Alright. 2 shiny things. Next, we will move on to the tank setup, the bath, and then actually getting started. Bing, bing, bing. Alright, so now we're doing tank setup, and we're going to go ahead and start. I have some time. We're going to go ahead and start plating this bad boy. So, just before, I am wearing this little head sock. You don't need anything crazy. You don't need a respirator or any of that stuff. I mean, I'm in the military, so I'm already screwed anyway for cancer. But if you're not, don't worry about it. Unless you're huffing the fumes in a closet with your face right next to the resin printer, you don't need a respirator to resin print. As long as you change your gloves, get new gloves on. And I wear goggles just for splashback. You don't want copper sulfate and sulfuric acid in your eyes or all over your arms or anything. Just be careful. And then one of these bad boys that I can rip off in case it gets near my mouth. You don't need anything crazy. Don't listen to these people saying that you need all this expensive stuff. And remember, the head sock I had, so that was free. But you can find them at any skis place. Goggles were $3 at Lowe's. Gloves for a box of them at a Walgreens, another $5 to $10 for a box of 100. Don't overspend on any of this stuff. You don't need to. Inside this box, I have all the things that I need for my next plate. I have 2 coffee filters, which I'm going to wrap the anodes in. A filter that I got this off Amazon. You don't need this. This came, I think, with a resin printing kit and a bottle of resin that I had bought a really long time ago. It's helpful in case you get a bunch of gunk inside your solution, if you don't have the coffee filters or something just breaks off or whatever. Nothing's really happened to me, but it can come in handy just in case I keep it in there. I have my hook, which is just some copper wire. I have a bunch of just wire over there. That was $40 at Harbor Freight. That whole tower of wire. Like I said, guys, don't overspend. It even came with solid wire. It's not just stranded wire. Okay. This is the hook. It holds the piece. It sits across like that. This is aluminum craft wire that I got from Hobby Lobby. Connected to a couple of alligator clips. I got these clips in a box of alligator clips at Harbor Freight for $3. Again, you don't need anything expensive, and you don't have to wait days on Amazon for it to come. Copper anodes, a full sheet, not a full sheet, something like this, about maybe one more taller, $7 at the hobby store near me, Hobbytown USA. If you absolutely have to, you can get this stuff online. We're going to go ahead and sand this down just to kind of make it shiny. It's kind of gross a little bit. I usually sand it down, but it's been sitting a while. Alright, I sanded it just to expose some fresh copper. You don't absolutely have to do that, but I kind of prefer it if they're shiny. All right. Copper anodes, 1, into the coffee filter. The coffee filter keeps all that white gunk, the red gunk, all the corrosion. If you end up doing this at the wrong current and voltage levels, from getting all over into your bath. And then you just have to filter it out. It gets dirty and it looks gross, and then your part kind of fails a little bit. It's just all around annoying. Second anode. I'm not doing anything fancy, just fold it and then it kind of just holds itself. Look at that, magic. Whoops. This is all one lead. It doesn't matter the color. I'm just connecting both so that I can connect both to the positive. Now for the hook. There. Let's kind of make it, grab it, and then there, now it dangles. You don't really want it to touch the bottom. Doesn't really matter if it does. It's just one of those things that if it does, it does. If it doesn't, I mean, that just might be a spot where it doesn't get plated. But you just want to make sure you have good connection. So I have polished graphite paint on a copper wire, so it should be good. It hasn't failed me yet. I don't do anything special. Trust me, I do not do anything special. Now, for the solution that we made earlier. It looks like Kool-Aid. Don't drink it. Cover the whole part. That's a lot. It's hollow, so we're gonna have to give it a little bit tighter. I'm gonna change the. Alright, I had to change the wire out so that it would actually. And we want it to sit in there. That looks good. Give it a good wrap. And give yourself something to clamp onto. And boom. We're in business. Now, to the power supply. Now for this is probably the most important part. You're going to turn it on. This is a $50 one from Amazon. It is nothing special. Trust me. You're going to go voltage up a bit, or however much it doesn't really matter. That way it stays on this one, constant current. Then you're going to short the connection. See, nothing bad happens. While it's shorted, you're going to adjust the current. You may have to kind of jump it for a second for it to register, and then come back down. Because this part's a little larger than the other stuff I've done, we're going to go about 0.18 to 0.2. There you go. Look at that, 0.19. That's perfect. Now, we're going to turn it off. We're going to disconnect. And we're going to connect it to the pieces that we need. Alright. So, positive to the copper anodes. Just like that. Negative to the piece that you made. There. Now it's set up. Now we turn it on. Power supply on. And we're going to come over there and look at it. Okay, look. The voltage rectifier did the work for us. So it's still 0.19 amps, constant current. And it did it for us. We don't have to mess with the voltage ourselves. Just leave it in constant current. Set your current that you want. I usually do between 0.17 and 0.2. And it hasn't failed me. It hasn't messed up. And the voltage does its thing. It usually is about 1 to 2 volts. If you're doing a really big one, a really big piece, there's an equation for surface area for how much current you need. I haven't seen anybody go over 1 amp though. So just keep that in mind. Just maybe brute force your way through it or find that equation. I think it's like 1 amp for every cubic meter. And we're dealing with trinkets. So little prototypes, little trinkets. Some guys are making game figurines, things that they're really small. So just think about it that way. All right, so we're going to leave this. We're going to leave it plating. So we've been in the bath for about 2.5 hours now. This is why you put your copper into the coffee filters. All that gunk would have been in your bath. Alright, now it is time to polish this and one of these. I bent it a lot so that it would fit inside smaller things. Alright, obviously this is a pretty complex part and all I have is a Dremel, so it's not the best polished thing. And I did nick it a couple of times. But, I mean, overall, I guess maybe I didn't nick it. Oh yeah, I did. There's a little spot right there. But, overall, a little nick right there. But it's conductive, and we'll check. Let's check in between over to here. Okay.